And welcome to the David Tomsic Show, fighting tyranny just one day at a time. It's Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Look at the markets. Right now, everything's up. Now, this could be people buying the dip, and I'm not sure if we've reached the bottom yet. I don't know. For those of you that don't know, the stock market has been pretty much overvalued for quite a while. So have we reached the bottom in this particular crisis yet? I'm not sure. Time will tell. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about the tariffs, which has caused this kind of chaos in the markets. I'm going to give you a 10-step lesson on tariffs and how they kind of affect us and how they affect some of the world. Now, keep in mind, I just watched Donald Trump standing in front of a microphone with a big, like a chart in his hand. It had reciprocal tariffs, and he went down and he was showing the deficits and the positives and all these things. Now, these things are meaningless. This was sort of a dog and pony show is really what it was. But people who believe in him, MAGA, they'll take that and say, yeah, that's right. He's right. He's playing that 15-dimensional chess, and he understands this stuff. But most people who know him and most economists would disagree with you. But let's not get people with knowledge involved, because that kind of destroys the whole belief system of Donald Trump. So those people that believe in him just ignore facts completely. Those are not going to be checked. We're just going to believe that it's all okay. That even though my mother lost all her savings and my friend Jack can't send his kids to college, and my grandpa Bill can't retire now, he's going to be working at McDonald's, that's not a problem because it'll be fixed someday. The pain is worth what's going to happen after. It's ridiculous. But this is how these people think. Empathy is gone in America, people. And from the right, who claim they're the most righteous of them all, those people on the right have the least amount of empathy of anybody. And because they've been now inundated with the Trump hatred of everybody in the world. It's good guy, bad guy, friend or foe. There's no in the middle. There's no in between. I digressed there. So let's go down this chart I created, my own chart. Okay, we're going to talk about tariffs. Money supply will go away because of tariffs. Then consumer prices will go up. Let me explain this. Tariffs, because they're going to put higher prices on products coming into this country, many products will not come here. In fact, some car manufacturer, and I'm not sure if it's German with the Mercedes, I'm not sure. They did not even load a ship with the cars they were going to send here to the United States because of the uncertainty. So those Mercedes dealers in America probably won't have a lot of inventory or have very little inventory. Now that means those prices on those Mercedes will go up because you don't have enough product coming in. This is going to happen with a lot of different products. And remember, in spite of everything, we don't make a lot of things in the U.S., especially not in the quantity we need. So there. So if we import less stuff from abroad because prices go way up and we can't afford them, money we used to send to those people in other countries, okay, stays here. And that money bids up the prices on the products we have here since no goods are coming in. It's pretty self-explanatory, but in the short of it is the money we used to send to China. And I'm going to use China exclusively in this demonstration. There's Thailand, there's all these other, Vietnam, there's all these other places that make products, not just China. But I'm going to use them. So forgive me if that bothers you. They're the biggest and the most notable, so it's easier to use them as an example. Thank you. So the money we sent to China, no longer we're sending because we're not buying their stuff. So that money, where does it go? The money we would normally spend on those products from China stays here because there's nothing coming in. So it was nothing to buy from China. Let's use that as the example. Very little's coming in. So guess what? You're not spending as much money. So domestically, we have more money chasing fewer goods. You've heard this before. This is the classic definition of inflation. We had this in 2000 when all the factories in the world stopped. All the prices went up because there was less product. So You had to spend more to buy that product because there wasn't a lot of it. Supply and demand. That puts upward pressure on prices of goods and services here in the United States. And this is what's happening, really not even yet. We've seen some of it. But I want to tell you, this inflation won't hit us for a while because all the tariffs aren't implemented. We haven't had a lot of things really brought in under those tariffs. A lot of people bought products they get from China or other countries early. They bought the stuff before the tariffs hit. So there's still inventory of products that are still the same cost as they were because the tariffs weren't enacted upon them. Now, once those products run out and that product coming in gets hit with the tariffs, that might be June, July, it might be August, it might be fall. Then you're going to see inflation hit. Then you're going to see prices go up. Okay, so the next step here is what's on the flip side of that. We know how it affects us here in the United States. We know how tariffs will affect us. I just kind of explained that generically. What about the foreigners who basically supplied us with these products? On the flip side, what are foreigners doing with the dollars that we export with inflation? Okay, so we're going to start there. We're going to use China. We spent billions of dollars to China. We sent billions of dollars there in exchange for what? For goods and services, cheap goods and services. Now, the United States benefited from this because the consumers, me and you, were able to buy these products pretty cheap, which is the key because not all of us are rich, so we have to get bargains, and China was the perfect place for it. So we sent them, let's say, billions of dollars. What did they do with that money? Anybody. Okay, I'll tell you. They took that dollar or those dollars and they bought stocks, bonds, and treasuries. That's what they did with the money. Technically, China especially bought our debt. They bought our debt. If they didn't buy our debt, what would happen? See, this is what Donald Trump misses because he's not really that smart. He's not. He's just an angry man that basically has a revenge complex on everybody. This is true and this is real, and those MAGA people that follow him, they pretty much follow their leader, and that's what they have. They want to punish China now. We're going to punish these people because they're taking advantage of us. No, they're not. Let me take a step back. The United States built the World Trade System. And yes, they did kind of front-load it to help other countries. They did. We did. Why? Because it benefits us in the end. It does. As more and more countries, more and more nations have a bigger middle class, more stability, everybody can sell and trade more goods. And that's how the world goes round. The trading of goods and services. That's business. Now, maybe Donald Trump can't figure that out because he's not a great businessman. I know people think he is. He's not. He bankrupted multiple casinos. How do you do that? Nobody's figured that out yet. Nobody has. So this is the guy you have running your trade policies. I mean, he took over trade policies completely, took it off Congress completely with this executive order, this emergency trade act. He took it. So he's going to do whatever he needs. Congress is not even involved. Not a good idea because I think we need more heads involved here. We need to stay with our norms because it's prospered us for decades, and it has. So we're not hurting because of deficits in trade. Donald, I've digressed. Okay, so they buy financial assets. Now, these financial assets were inflated here in the United States. Inflation for years has been in stocks and bonds and treasuries. So people who own them were richer. The 401ks were higher. Stock values were higher because of foreign investors. You may not like that. You may say we shouldn't have any foreign investors. But again, this is a global world and a global economy. People here have stocks in Europe and everywhere else as well. That's how it works. Do you just want to build walls 50 feet high like Donald Trump did? Let's build walls 50 feet high. Not let anybody in, not let anybody do anything here. Let's just live in our little fort. That's ridiculous. But that's the commonsensical end to all this. That's where you end up. So these financial assets were inflated. And this is good for people who own financial assets. And a lot of people did. You know, The average guy may not have all the stock, but he has 401ks, he has maybe bonds, maybe he has some stocks in certain companies, and these things were worth more because people invested in them. Now, what happened with the tariffs, or what's going to happen with the tariffs, my friends? The tariffs are going to then cause inflation to be switched from financial assets, which are dropping, or going to drop, to consumer goods. Inflation is going to be redirected back to U.S. consumer prices. They're going to go up. And again, we're going to see that over time if things remain the same. Now, where does this leave us here as Americans? I don't know. You see, he's banking on people coming here and building factories. And some of the tariffs didn't even make sense. He wants like negative. He wants the countries to pay us to import stuff here. I mean, this is where he's going. Like his gold card for citizenship. You know, anybody, if you have a $500 billion, or is it $500 million, you can buy a gold card and be a citizen here. This is the scam artist of the century. Everything's for sale. This is a fire sale, people. This is a fire sale in America. Buy citizenship. They ask him, how about a Russian oligarch who's a crook? Would he be eligible? Well, yeah, I think so. Just, then that once you're a citizen, you don't have to have any scrutiny by the U.S. government at all. You can do what you want. I digress there, but it's a fire sale. And so what does this? So what does he really want? Let's use Nike for an example. Nike has some factories here in the U.S., not massive ones. They have them in, I believe, and I have this written down here. I know it's China, Indonesia, and Vietnam. So Nike sells a lot of shoes, right? Now let's say they want to come here to the United States and build a factory. First of all, it's going to cost billions. They need to buy the factory and build it to their specs. They need to do the tooling. They need to set up the supply chain. I'm a supply chain person. I worked in supply chain for many years, and I'm here to tell you that that's extremely expensive to set up a supply chain, to rebuild one. It takes years, sometimes up to a decade, depending on what you're building. But more importantly, they need labor. Now, here in the U.S., everybody in the world knows there's no labor market here because we don't have labor. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure that one out, Donald, because if you go to any restaurant, you know that you're going to have less people waiting on you. You're going to be in line longer. I've been to restaurants where there's 20 tables and they only have 10 open because they only have waitresses enough to wait on 10 tables. We're used to this. This has happened since 2020. It's going to continue to happen. We're sending immigrants back. Less and less of them are going to get involved with some of these type jobs. Who knows where that ends up? We're negative in the birth rate here in America. We're not having enough children to support our economy. Over years, this will increase. So where are you going to get the labor for these big factories to make shoes? If you ever watched videos in China, you see how they have thousands of people working in these factories. The one I saw recently was a cell phone factory. I think it was Apple. And you have thousands of people, and they have to do things that the computers or machines can't do. And you see them doing this. Can you imagine your kid doing this 10 hours? Not that you won't get some people that would work there. You won't have enough long term. And how much turnover would you have? Because we already have turnover in jobs massively. Once you get burned out after a month, a year, this is not going to work out. Why would Nike do this? Well, the truth is they won't do it. Apple won't do it. No one's really going to do this. Why? First, they have to invest billions. The other thing is they have factories already in Cambodia or Vietnam, Indonesia, and China. So what they're going to do is sell less shoes in America. And let me add this to the mix, my friends. No one knows how long these tariffs will be in place and if the next president would even keep them if they were in place. So there's uncertainty there. So you're a company investing billions of dollars in a factory, still uncompetitive, and find out that the tariffs are taken off and you're stuck being more uncompetitive in the United States. You're stuck and you lost all that money. So guess what that means? You're not going to build a factory here. Now, some people will. Keep in mind, there's a lot of people that are enablers. They will do whatever it takes to please somebody. And some of these people are going, yes, Donald, yes, Donald. And they're afraid if they say no, he'll go after him somehow, which he does with his enemies. But for the most part, these big multinational companies, they're not going to deal with that. Too much uncertainty, too much money invested, especially when they already have working factories with staff there in those other countries. So I guess what I'm trying to say, people, here is that there isn't a lot of thought to this. Economics, trade, and manufacturing are very complicated. I've been involved in manufacturing pretty much all my life. These aren't simple things. How markets affect, how tariffs affect, how even tax policies within the United States and other countries affect these massive companies that build iPhones and shoes and computers. It's all intricate. One thing leads to another, like a domino effect. Their job is to maintain stability in their business. That's the job of these companies. Well, these companies want to deal with a nation with a president who's unhinged, who's all over the board, who's created uncertainty across every part of the globe. No, they don't want to deal with that, especially when he only has 4 years. And I know he wants to run for another term. Will he be able to do that? Right now, legally, he can't. Plus, we know that in 2 years, in 2026, there's another midterm election. Many countries follow our politics because it's part of how they do business. He's not sure if he will be able to maintain his control of Congress in 2026. Odds are he won't. Odds are he will lose at least one of those houses. He could lose the House of Representatives. He could lose the Senate. He could lose both. These are all more and more uncertainties that companies and nations around the world have to consider. And many of them will, especially the big countries. I know China is doubling down against Donald Trump and these tariffs. They're the biggest of the big. And it's going to cause a lot of heartache here in the United States. So all I can tell you is try to prepare for the worst, and hopefully things will get better. But I don't have a lot of confidence in this. And sadly, I have less and less confidence in America and in many Americans. So that's all the time I have for today. Please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. I appreciate all my new subscribers. Please let other people know that we're in the resistance against tyranny. We want you on board. Don't forget also that I have another channel. It's with me and my co-host, Ashley Hamilton. It's called Nights Around the Fire. I put a link in the description box that'll get you to that site. We talk about mysteries, legends, and myths. It's an interesting topics. The first one is on missing persons in national parks. I think you'll enjoy that. Please like, subscribe, and share that video as well. Beyond all that, God bless you. God loves you. And remember, we are the resistance. We're going to work through this, friends. I'll see you next time right here on The David Tomsic Show.